Howdy! Howdy, folks, how are y'all doing? My name is Rees, and welcome to the very first, I guess, official episode of our Tekkit Classic Reborn 2.0 Let's Play Adventure. And I say sort of because we already did an episode 0, and if you're interested in that, you can definitely go back and check it out, probably linked in the description. What we did in that episode was we gathered a lot of resources, and we built ourselves a house. We basically got all of the vanilla Minecraft things out of the way so that we could get started today right into the mods. Now, I do have a bit of a disclosure about this pack at the end of this episode, so definitely stay tuned for that. But where I would recommend starting today is with the Philosopher's Stone. We're going to be doing a lot today. This is sort of the thing that I would recommend everyone start with. So, here is the Philosopher's Stone. And you can use it as a crafting grid. You can use it in recipes to craft other items. You can use it to transmute things into other things. In fact, if we just look at it and we look at uses, you can see here it can be used in a recipe to make some interdiction torches, which force monsters away from you and don't let them get too close, to make a transmutation table. And in these recipes, it does not consume the Philosopher's Stone. So it's a great thing to start with. You can use it like this to convert 8 pieces of iron into gold. You can make different fuels with it. If you can't get ender pearls, guess what? 4 iron, you get an ender pearl. 4 gold, you get a diamond. And again, it doesn't consume the Philosopher's Stone, just the other items you put in there with it. So if you got 2 diamonds, you can get an emerald. It's really cool, and you can build a lot of really neat things with it. And of course, you can also, by tapping C, if you have it in your inventory, you can use it as a crafting table, meaning anything that can be crafted in a 3x3 crafting table, you can now craft, which is pretty nifty. So we're definitely going to start off by building one of those. Obviously, it's not for the faint of heart. You're going to have to do a bit of work in your world to get the redstone and the diamond, and you're also going to need to go to the nether to get your glowstone. Fortunately, that's what episode 0 was all about. So we've got glowstone, we got redstone, and we have got the diamond to boot. So we're going to open it up in there, and we're going to tap this button here to move items and get our Philosopher's Stone. So like I was saying, tap C, open up your crafting grid, and you can also do some other things with it. For instance, if I wanted to, I could go out here and convert this grass into sand, back into grass, and you can see up there in the top left what you're going to get. So I think if I shift, I'll get stone, cobblestone, regular stone, back to grass. You can do a lot of really cool things with the Philosopher's Stone. The second thing we're going to be doing with it, though, is building the transmutation table. This thing is extremely important. There's a second version, a third version, a fourth version. All of these are cool. All of these have different uses. There's also the tablet, which you can take with you on the go, which is really useful. We might build one of those in the future, but not today. Today we're focusing on the transmutation table. This is going to let us have a bit more control over how we transmute things. A lot of people would immediately jump to something like the condensing, what is it called? I can't even remember. There's a chest that allows you to condense items and transmute them, but this is much better. This will give you control over what you're making and also store a bit of EMC, I do believe. So let's go ahead and build one of these. It's going to require some diamond and some obsidian. So once again, definitely not for the faint of heart, but we do have obsidian, and as you saw, we also have diamonds. So I guess to get started on all of this, you're going to need, how many diamonds were in this? 1, so you're going to need at least 5 diamonds. If you have 6 diamonds, though, when you get started, you can do something real cool. So we've got our table there, and we're going to drop it down right here for now. You can move it later if you need to. Right-click on it, look inside of here. What you can do is you can take, let's say, your obsidian. We can throw it into here, into this fire. Look at that, learned. So there you go. It remembers the item. It remembers the obsidian, and it also gives us an EMC rating down here, and that's how much EMC we have. If we throw something else in there, like let's say redstone and glowstone, we can now use the EMC from the redstone and the glowstone. You see, we now have over 7,000 to get a whole lot of obsidian if we wanted to, or we can just throw it all right back in there. Now, a lot of people, when they hear of this mod, this is from the Project E. They immediately think, all right, EMC, equivalent exchange. Wait a minute. This is that Alchemist TV show, isn't it? And, yes, it's very much like the anime Full Metal Alchemist. However, you should also know, alchemy's been around, or the idea of alchemy has been around a lot longer than Full Metal Alchemist. I mean, the Philosopher's Stone, Nicholas Flamel. You guys ever read a Harry Potter book? Those are references to things, guys, from like a long time ago. But yes, it is a lot. It is a lot like Full Metal Alchemist. I'll give you that. One other thing you can do is you can get rid of these worthless tools, and we can grab new ones. As you can see, they'll cost a bit more than what we got when we threw them in there, but at least now they're fully functioning again. You can actually build a item though that will automatically repair your tools over time. Let me clear my mind and try to remember what it's called. And that's not working, so let's just type in Project E. And here you'll see there's a lot of really cool things that we can build from this pack. One of those things is the Divining Rod. If we wanted to build one of these, this would allow us to find high EMC ores, like diamonds and iron, which is not as high as diamonds, but you get the idea. Definitely helps out with mining. You got 3 different tiers. Each one can see a little bit further than the last, the best tier being the Divining Rod High, obviously. And if you want to passively repair things, a Talisman of Repair is going to be your best bet. And in fact, I think we're going to go ahead and build one of those, because I do like the idea of having low covalence dust, medium, and high covalence dust, so I can go ahead and make a Divining Rod and do a bit more manual mining. I don't want to have to do manual labor for long. This is Tekkit Classic Reborn. It's all about the automation, after all. But before we go any further, goodness me, it looks like the sun is setting, so we might be trapped inside until I take a nap. In the meantime, though, something else I want to look at is a new crafting table, because the one that I have is very vanilla, and there's some other options in this pack, like this crafting table from Random Things. I don't know what makes it different than a regular crafting table, but what I do know is I'm interested to find out. So, somewhere around here, I believe maybe in building supplies, yeah, I should have some more wood, so we'll go ahead and make a second crafting table. I have an idea of what this might do, and I'm kind of hopeful, but I don't actually know. What I did just realize, though, is that it does have a... There we go. You can also place items in the middle here to teach them to the transmutation table without losing them. I've got an idea what this might do. Weird. It didn't do that. My hope was that building this would allow me to store items inside of it and then look away without losing them. That hasn't quite panned out for us, though. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. It looks like it just changes the color of the crafting table, which is okay. That said, this pack does have Tinker's Construct, so we can just put our crafting table in there and grab a crafting station, which will do exactly what I want it to do. Right-click it. It can now access the inventory directly adjacent to it, and if we're working on something and we realize that we're missing an object, we can walk away and come right back and get our items out. Alright, so that's sort of 3 of the main things I would recommend building right off the bat. You get your transmutation table, so you can transmute different items, and you won't be without anything. And that should also help with your storage needs, because just about everything has an EMC value. You'll see here limestone, marble, glass panes do not, but all of this granite, this cobblestone, this dirt, all of these items have an EMC value. And we can throw all of these items in here, and then instead of storing them in a chest, which takes up a lot of space, we can just keep them stored in here and grab what we need as we need it. Oh, do we need to build a house? Get some oak wood planks. Well, okay. Get some oak wood planks. There we go. We've used up all of our EMC, but you get the general idea. Now on to the covalence dust. For this, we're going to need a whole bunch of different things, really. Coal, a diamond, we're going to need redstone and iron, and then this one, the strangest of all, is going to require charcoal. I don't think I've got any charcoal, but we do have what we need to make it. So we'll go ahead and get everything else we need. That redstone, and a diamond, a regular coal, and then a whole lot of cobblestone. Which, do we have any? I guess it's all up in here. So fortunately, if you don't see what you need over here, you can just type it in up here at the top. Get yourself some cobblestone. Pretty straightforward. And that might be a waste of some coal, but that's fine. We're not hurting for resources at all. So while that's cooking up, we can go ahead and make this one. No, we can't, because it's this. That'll give us 40 high covalence dust. And then we've got the redstone, and what went with that? An iron. Ah. So it's my bad. I completely forgot the recipe. That happens often. If you're going to be with the series for any amount of time, you should know that. Now, these recipes are shapeless, meaning you can put them in there any which way you please. That'll give us our medium covalence dust, and then we've got our charcoal that we can throw in here, and combine with all of this cobblestone to create our low covalence dust. And before we do anything with any of this, I'm going to go ahead and throw one of each in here so we can get some later, should the situation arise. Now, as I was saying, You can use these for a bunch of different things. If you wanted to create a mobile alchemical bag, you could certainly do that. You can also do the divining rods that we were talking about earlier, which I think is what we're going to definitely do. You have to make each one of them, though, as you can see, because one builds on the other. And the last thing you can do with them is you can build the alchemical chest, and you can build the Talisman of Repair, which is going to repair the items in our inventory passively. Now, in order for that to work, we've got to have some string. Well, that was fairly straightforward. And what was the final item there? Because I'm highly forgetful. Paper. Almost positive we don't have what we need to get paper. We might have to go on a bit of an expedition here in a moment. But before we do that, divining rod, if you look at the recipe for that, pretty straightforward. It's just a stick. And guess what I certainly have some of? Somewhere. A single solitary stick. Let's throw that in here in case we need more later. Because this is Minecraft. We're likely going to need more sticks. So we surround that with the low covalence dust and we get our divining rod low. Now you can't really do much with this one. As an example, if I just look down and right click, it'll search a 3x3 area and tell me what the EMC value is for those blocks. Total EMC, 18. So if I dug around in this area in a 3x3 hole, I would get 18 EMC, which is not great. We can, however, make it look further if we upgrade it, first to medium, and then we're going to take it another step further up to high. And with that, we're not quite done with the covalence dust, so I'll hold on to it. Now at first, it measures the same area. However, if I find the right combination of buttons, and this is always the trick, isn't it? I want to say, oh, ooh, well that's interesting, but not the right button I'm looking for. Ah, there we go, G. Okay, so with G, we can change it to from a 3x3x3 to a 16x3x3, all the way to a 64x3x3, which might not be practical in some situations, but if we right-click, it'll search all those blocks all the way down in a 3x3x64 space, so 64 blocks down. So the average EMC for the 567 blocks beneath me is 2, which is not a lot, and it comes out to 1,145, so there's not really anything special. If I were to dig down there, oh my, down here though, definitely, there's something down there worth a bit more, increase the total EMC value, and if we stand here, a little bit better than where we were before, and you can just do this until, whoa, 2550, so there's something valuable down there, and if we wanted to, we could dig down there for it, but we don't want to. I'm not really in the digging mood right now. We'll go ahead and toss that in here, and we'll hold on to it for the future. And I just realized I forgot to throw a medium one in there, and I don't ever need a medium one, but just in case I do, we'll toss that in there. Now I'm going to take a nap, and then we're going to set out, and hopefully we're going to find some reeds so that I can get some paper and make a repair talisman. I'm having trouble talking. Okay. We're not going to leave going that direction, that's for sure. Even though water seems to be our best bet. You know what? It's a bit dangerous out here, now that I'm looking at this world that I've created. Perhaps we should suit up before we head out. So, iron, definitely. We're running a bit low on it, but what we can do is we can get a lot of this redstone that we've got lying around, toss it all in here with the iron. And look at that, we can now get 50 iron. How good is that? Iron armor, maybe a waste. Sure, I'll give you that. But I'd rather be alive and have a bunch of useless iron armor than dead and wish I had a bunch of useless iron armor, if you know what I'm saying. We'll also throw the coal, the cobblestone, and that string in there. We're going to bring this with us in case we need to do a bit of mobile crafting. But let's suit up and head out into the wonderful world. Goodness me, if I can get through the door, we'll be doing fine. Oh, great. Look at this. There's just a whole herd of these guys out here. I need to get rid of these trees around my house. That's for sure. Reeds shouldn't be too difficult. In fact, I think I see some right up ahead. I've never been down here before. I think this is going to be our first river adventure, and as such, we should probably build a boat. If you know what I'm thinking, if you can see the same way that I see, well, first off, that's strange, because that means you've crawled into my head and are looking through my eyes, but also, that's okay. That's cool. We can be cool like that if you want to. Build ourselves a boat. And look at this. We're going on a fun river rafting adventure, everyone. Well, you know, as much as floating down the river in a wooden boat can be considered a river rafting adventure. That's what this is, I suppose. Okay, this is interesting. My fear anytime I branch out from a place where I've built my home is I'm going to find an area that I like more than where I built my home. And so far, that doesn't seem to be an issue. So we'll hop out of the boat. Oh, get there we go. We'll get our reeds. And because of EMC, we can, of course, make more of these when we get home. But we might as well go ahead and collect a lot of them. Now, this is a strange issue that I've had occasionally with this mod pack. Immediately after booting it, for about 10 minutes, it's a bit wonky. After playing for a little while, it seems to be okay. But look, is that a compressed chicken? I wonder if that does what I think it'll do if we kill it. And look, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm real interested in finding out. So let's head over here. It looks friendly enough, so get out of the boat. Hi there! Hold still. No, it did not do what I thought it would do. I thought it would just blow up and spew chickens everywhere, like a compressed creeper. Apparently not the case, though, which is a darn shame. I'll tell you what I need right now. What I need is I need a big old fence around my land, and then also some of those interdiction torches to spook off all the baddies. That would also be pretty handy. Alright, we made it back though, mostly unscathed. We didn't even get into combat with anything, so I guess the armor was useless. But guess what, y'all? We can just throw it in here and get our EMC back. How good is that? Now, if we want to, we can open this back up, and we can finally build that repair talisman, or talisman of repair if you're so inclined, after we first off make a bit of paper. And I'm going to think ahead here. Going to throw some of that in there. I'll throw some of this in here. Get a bit of it back, though. Look at that. We now got a stack of paper. See, this system is so good, but where did our string go? Did I throw the string in here by mistake? Apparently I did. Not a problem. We can get another stack of it back out. And voila, everyone, a repair talisman. Now, I guess we can go ahead and pull all of these things out. And since we're no longer using any of it, we're pretty much done. I'm going to throw all of these things in here. We can't throw the chicken in there, unfortunately. Now, this is sort of a mod author's choice. You can choose whether or not you want to let food have an EMC value. Most people choose not to, because it forces the player to be a little bit more adventurous, and I'm fine with that. But we've got our Talisman of Repair. It should start repairing these items. Hopefully, if we have it in our inventory here with us. It's not happening. It's not doing it. It's supposed to do it. It's not doing it. Well, that's strange. I've literally never had this be a problem, but whatever. Alright then. We built it. If I figure it out later, we've got it. Now, y'all will likely remember me mentioning that we do have Tinker's Construct installed. That means that we have access to the drawing rack. Now, these useful little devices are really handy, particularly, oops, I've messed up, an item rack. I didn't mean to do that. Oh well, those are also kind of useful, but what we really want are the drawing racks, which we can hang up on the wall like so, and we can use them to make food. We don't have to cook all of our food if we want to. We can just hang things up on there, and they will slowly dry out over time. And it's a good use for rotten flesh, because it'll make it non-poisonous, and you can eat it at your leisure. Now, what is an item rack? Well, an item rack is basically the exact same thing, except it will not dry food out, and you feel like an idiot when you accidentally make 6 of them. That's the difference. There we go. And they have an EMC value. How nifty. Great. So we can get more of these as we need them. I'm going to put up a bunch of them, because I'll be darned, I'll really like my dried monster jerky. How does chicken jerky sound? Sound good to you? Sounds good to me. Now, how long this takes, I don't actually know, but if we just wait around a bit, it will eventually turn into jerky, and it'll be delicious. Interestingly, rotten flesh does have an EMC value, which means we could use it as an endless food supply if we wanted to. I don't. There's better foods out there. Alright, so right now I'm just going through these chests. I'm getting everything that has an EMC value, and I'm throwing it into the transmutation table, so we can get it later if we need to, or we can transmute and use its EMC for other purposes. Possibly nefarious, probably not though. And this way we'll save a lot of storage space in here, which will be pretty useful. Now with that, I think that we can pretty much fit everything that was here inside of one single chest. However, let's take it a step further. If we look at storage options, you'll see we do have the ability to go into applied energistics and create some really complicated storage setups. We don't need to do that though, because most everything we make can be stored conveniently inside of the transmutation table for access at a later date. The other option we have is for the things that we can't transmute, we can just build some really cool chests for them. Look at this, just some upgraded. You can make an iron chest, a gold chest. So an iron chest is the same as 2 regular chests, and all you need to make it, you probably guessed, it's like literally in the title, is a bit of iron. So we're going to place down our chest, we're going to surround it with iron, and boom, iron chest, we're going to throw that down right here. And now we've got a secure place to store everything that doesn't have a value, that cannot be condensed. Check that out. Oh, and look at that. We're starting to have our spruce wood planks, I almost said there. We're starting to have our monster jerky. Check that out. So the rotten flesh is converting into a delicious source of sustenance. Wonderful. Now, if we wanted to, we could take the iron chest and surround it with gold. However, that would require that we break the chest and all of the contents would fall out. We can also apparently use clear glass as a substitute. Interesting. Very interesting. In any case, there is a better way. So we can get an upgrade here, which is a piece of iron surrounded with gold, and then we won't have to break our chest anymore. Do I have any gold, though? I know that I've mined gold. I don't guess that I've made gold, though. Alright, well, I think 4, maybe 5 of those. We'll toss that in there, and then we'll need a fuel source, so coal. Now, this is what's called a poor ore, and it's added by Railcraft. And they're everywhere, and they take up a lot of space in the ground, and all you get from them is a couple of nugs. But that's fine, because you can use the nugs to create solid bars, and in this case, we only need the 1 bar. Look at all the monster jerky. We got our chicken jerky now. We're just waiting on the... I almost said turkey jerky. Pork jerky is what I meant to say. So we've got our nugs here. What we can do is we can just toss them in here, and then we can get enough to create a bar, if we're so inclined. This is a weird way of doing it, I understand. But there we go. 7 bars even. Maybe... how many of these do we need? I think we needed 8 of them. So we'll get another piece of iron. Single piece of iron. Surround it with gold, like so, to get our iron to gold chest upgrade. Excellent. And then you just right-click that under there, and you have a gold chest, which is now quite a bit bigger than the... oops, signs don't go in there. Quite a bit bigger than the 2 regular chests, the iron chest. This is good. You can take it a step further to diamond, if you're so inclined. And I am. First off, though, we do have some delicious bacon jerky. Oh, boy. Now, I have a theory that we don't have to use quite clear glass. I've got a theory that we can probably just go ahead and use regular glass. So we're going to get up that recipe. Piece of gold, 2 diamonds, surround that with glass. So we'll just get that out of here. Piece of gold, 2 diamonds, and I've already got the glass. And here we go. Either I'm going to be right, or I'm going to be proven wrong, and a fool on the internet, but I'm not. There it is. Check that out. Boom! Diamond chest. The next step is the diamond to crystal chest, which looks cool because it's transparent, but that also can cause a bit of lag. I'm going to go from diamond to obsidian instead, because it's not translucent, so hopefully we shouldn't have any issues with lag after building it. And also, I've just realized I've missed the main ingredient of this whole thing, which is that glass core, which you could argue is not the main ingredient. It's a single piece of glass. The obsidian is probably considered the main ingredient, but whatever. So that's made it indestructible. Now, I should note that the crystal chest and the obsidian chest have the same amount of internal storage space as the diamond chest. The only difference is the diamond chest can handle explosions a little bit better. It's a bit more blast resistant. And if you watch episode 0, you'll know I've gotten blown up many times, so we're not going to take that for granted. So as you can see, these chests from the Iron Chest mod are completely compatible with our crafting station, meaning anything that does not have an EMC value that is stored inside of our obsidian chest is accessible via the interface over here on the left, which is fantastic. Anything else we need, we can get from the transmutation table up top. And we've still got our 2 furnaces. They're not really going to be here for long because, well, we need to move on to grinding things up. Speaking of grinding, there are machines in this game that will automatically grind things up. The benefits being, of course, that you can duplicate your ore. So if you have a single iron ore, you can get 2 dusts, and those 2 dusts can be turned into 2 bars, which is double the EMC. which is really what this pack is all about. It's all about that EMC. You can build a grindstone, though, early game if you want to do some manual grinding. A bit of quartz, a bit of cobblestone, a bit of regular stone, which I wouldn't be surprised to find out we don't have, but we can get really easily. But we can't mine that back up, can we? Of course not. Well, I suppose that means we'll just have to throw it in here. And we'll get a bit of fuel for that. What can we cook in there? I think 2 sticks would be best, because that's only 8 EMC, so we're not really missing out on anything with that, and we won't be wasting any coal or charcoal, which is a bit more on the expensive side. Not super expensive, but it would certainly be a waste. But that'll give us the single stone that we need, and then we can get a stack of the stuff. We're going to need more sticks now that I think about it. And looking at the recipe, that might just be everything. So the very first thing we got to do is figure out how these sticks are going to go in here. I think that's it right there. That'll give us our wooden gear, and then stone, and then cobblestone, quartz. I feel like I'm close. Oh, I was very close. There we go. That's going to give us our grindstone. We'll plop that down. Maybe, we don't really need 2 furnaces, do we? I don't think we do. Well, if we do, we could just get another one right on out of here. Does this have a value? It does not. So not everything is going to have an EMC value, and that's fine. Quartz grindstone, though, right there. And then the final thing we got to do is build ourselves a handle for it. Perfect. Wooden crank. Right-click it up top there. Or shift right-click it up top. And then we can open this up. And like I said, we can get one of these ores, place it on the inside, and just hold down. Can you do it with both? Okay, you can only do it with right-click, it appears. But just hold it down, give it some time, and when it stops spinning, you got 2 iron powder. Now, what can you do with those iron powder? Well, you can throw them in here, and the 2 iron powder will give you, you're probably already ahead of me on this one, I did already explain it, but that will give you 2 ores. So you've just doubled your iron ore, you've gotten 2 ingots from it, and that's double the EMC. So I'm going to go ahead and do this with everything that I've got collected from episode 0, and when we come back in the next episode, we're going to be moving on to machines that will do this for us. Yeah. Now, I hate to pull you out of the game, but welcome to the real world, where I'm joined by Howdy Folks partner, Micah. He's playing Overwatch. Disregard him. Pretend he's not here. At the beginning of this video, I announced that there was a bit of a disclaimer about this mod pack. So a few days after episode 0 was recorded, and on the same day that the episode you're watching now was recorded, it was announced that the mod pack would be getting a hefty update, which is going to move it from Minecraft 1.10 to 1.11, and change the version from TCR 2.0 to TCR 2. Shush. Excuse me? To TCR 2.1. Which is going to make all previous worlds incompatible. Now, I am required by the artificial intelligence that I created, who has now basically enslaved me, to make 10 episodes, which is exactly what I'm going to do in Minecraft 2.0. When we get to episode 10, if you guys vote to continue, we will move to 2.1. We'll move to Minecraft 1.11. I can move the house there. We'll have to restart with the items. That's fine. That's always fun. We'll just do another episode 0 where I go mining for resources, and then we'll start fresh with all the new mods. But you guys don't need to panic. You were all panicking in the comments on episode 0. It's fine. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing YouTube since this boy didn't know what an Overwatch was, which wasn't that long ago, really. The game's just now a year old. But you get the idea. So, until next time, thank you folks for watching. God bless each and every one of you. And we'll see you later. You want to say something? Okay. At the beginning of this video...
Oh, frick yeah.
At the beginning of this...
Hey, guys.
Stop. Stop. No, stop.
Oh, no. You know Kino Kano.
So, on the exact same day that episode 0 was... No, hold on. So on the... Ah, dang it. So, a few days before episode... No, darn it. How does this go?
Oh, I melted.
So, a few days...
Whoa! Whoa, how did I do that?
Alright, do you want to tell everyone to like the video and subscribe?
Like this video and subscribe because this is my awesome uncle.